Hi, Module 4 group members, Jake, Natalie, Mary Ellen, and Karen. I wanted to make my Module 4 initial post identifying two key issues from this module's reading, telling you why I chose them, and relating them to my work on our today's college student case study. So the first issue that I'm going to choose is from Pasquarella, and Terenzini's chapter 11, How College Affects Students, a summary. Specifically, it's kind of from, I guess, the net effects summary part of the chapter. And I liked this particular part because I could so easily tie it to the themes that I identified from my population, from our work that we've done on our data analysis so far. My population, for those of you who aren't familiar with the population I chose for this study, is underprepared students. And so I was able to identify four themes from my data analysis, and they were challenges to success, academic barriers, motivation, and emotional responses. And I was able to see all four of those themes addressed through the net effects sections of that chapter. So I found that to really speak to my particular work that I've been doing this semester. So on page 582 of our text, it says that the long-term impacts of post-secondary education manifest itself in at least two ways, one of which can be traced directly to college attendance or degree attainment, such as effects on job status and earnings, and the other acting indirectly through socioeconomic positioning and the interest, experiences, and opportunities made more likely by being a college graduate. And I really liked how it spoke to the enduring impacts to both the underprepared student and then also to their children and their families. And it really spoke to breaking the cycle and making a true lasting difference. And I thought about how we talk about all of the things that contribute to being an underprepared student and how just by them being a college graduate, how it would enable everybody in their immediate circle to not have some of the traits that would lead to being an underprepared student. So I thought that was awesome that could lead to that could possibly do that. And then one other thing about this same chapter in this part that struck me was another small quote I wanted to share with you from page 626 in the same chapter, same area that kind of summarized. It was not from the same net effects, but it was just talking about the tested ability still, and they were just saying that that we just needed to look at the students differently. So I won't read it to you for the sake of time, but they were just talking about that their research and their summary here is showing that different students have different needs and that they found that different strategies work differently for students with different abilities. And so that just really spoke to me as well, is that they're acknowledging that if we just use a little bit of different strategy, it would really help make the success. So to me, when you couple that, just as a little bit of a different strategy could get you that net benefit that I just quoted from the book, that we could break a cycle preparing that many different people. That was just really an aha kind of moment to me. And again, being able to see all of the themes be addressed in that summary was really great. The second thing that really spoke to me and was a key issue for me with the reading came from chapter 12 in the same text. So again, the chapter 12, implications for research and practice and policy. And this was discussing access and program completion. And the focus was actually on financial aid, this particular part of the chapter, and it was on page 643. And they were actually talking about financial aid and access, but it spoke directly to the underprepared student. I'm going to share a little quote with you again. This is 643. And they said that significant gaps exist in the academic development and college-going rates between students from families of low socioeconomic status and their more affluent peers. And the gaps grow progressively wider at each step of the process: elementary and secondary academic preparation, high school completion, and applying to and enrolling in college. Research intended to support institutional and state policy efforts to promote student persistence and degree completion underscores that the path to a college degree begins well before the first year of college. It goes on to say that by the time students reach 12th grade, it's too late. It goes on to say that pretty much the path is set even before middle school oftentimes, because students are already kind of picking a pathway by the time they're registering for their high school classes. It goes on and gives many more examples, and they talk about the need for integrated coordinated efforts, because when it's not that way, that we're just failing miserably. And the population that they're speaking to right there, even though they don't really point blank say it though, is the very population I'm looking at. The students who they're describing here are going to be underprepared students. So even though that was not directly what they were speaking to, it was to me what they were speaking to, knowing that the students they were describing were going to, in essence, turn around to become the underprepared students that I looked at in my study. So I liked that, because a lot of the research I read did talk about how we can't just address it by the time they're sitting at the door of the college as an underprepared student. It's kind of like it's such a late point in the game to try to address it. So I appreciated them stating it the way they did, because we know that that is a truth, that it does take a much more coordinated effort. And then on 644, they said that our fixation on access and is sometimes part of the process, part of a problem, because not retention to the second year, not persistence without a degree, but completion. That we just have to sometimes just get away from just looking just at access, but look at some of the other pieces as well. And that's a very complex piece when we just get away from access, but making sure that when we look at the persistence and the retention piece, that there's a lot that comes with that, because when we go beyond access and when we look at where our access allows for underprepared students, and underprepared students need a lot of support, and we have to have that support in place if we want to see the persistence and the retention and the completion. So that just really spoke to me in that part. And so anyways, those are my two big key issues from Module 4's readings. Can't wait to hear about yours, and I look forward to watching your videos. Thank you all so much.